I never thought my life would change overnight, and yet here I was, staring at a piece of paper that could change everything. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 22 years old, and growing up with my step-parents had never been easy. My mom remarried when I was 10, and from that day, I had been living in a house that felt more like a prison than a home. My stepmother, Corinne, always had a smile for my younger brother, a hug for my father, but for me, nothing. Not a single word of encouragement, not a single shared meal without an underlying irritation in their eyes. My stepfather, Robert, never bothered to hide his annoyance either. I was polite, respectful, tried to blend into the background, but it never seemed enough. I was invisible, unwanted, and alone in my own house. I had accepted it as normal. I told myself I didn't need their approval or love, that one day I would leave and make my own way. And that as when it happened, the thing that would shatter the fragile walls of my family's facade. I had bought a lottery ticket on a whim. Just one because the amount was small and I thought it was fun. I had never expected anything, but when I checked the numbers online, I froze. My heart raced, my fingers shook, and I double-checked 3 times. It wasn't a mistake. I had won $1 million. For the first time in my life, I felt powerful. The world didn't have to ignore me anymore. I could leave. I could live without their constant cold glances and dismissive comments. I thought about keeping it quiet for a few days, maybe even months before telling anyone. But I knew deep down that the moment my step-parents found out, nothing would ever be the same. And sure enough, they found out faster than I expected. It started with a phone call from my mom, my real mother. She had always been distant, living miles away in another city. She rarely called, rarely asked about me, but now her voice on the line was warm, almost overcompensating. "Sweetheart Emily, can you come over? I just want to see you." "I miss you so much." Her words melted me, and I ignored the small warning bell in my head. I arrived at her house a few hours later, and it felt surreal. The woman who had once seemed distant and indifferent now greeted me with hugs, kisses, and tears in her eyes. She told me she had been worried, that she had been thinking about me, and that she loved me more than anything. I wanted to believe her. I really did. After all, she was my mom. And for the first time in years, I felt that warmth I had longed for. But a small part of me, the part that had learned to be cautious, couldn't shake off a gnawing suspicion. Over the next few days, my step-parents' behavior shifted dramatically. Karen called me daily, asking how I was, if I needed anything, offering to help me manage my finances. Robert suddenly became charming, asking me to spend time with him, complimenting my choices, and praising my achievements. It was as if overnight, I had become the most important person in the house. I tried to ignore it at first, telling myself maybe they had finally realized I mattered, but deep down, I knew the truth. One evening, as I was checking my lottery account, I noticed that my mom had sent me a link for a financial advisor. "I want to make sure you're safe and secure, Emily," she said in her message. Her sudden concern, the eagerness to help, the tears she had shown when I visited, all of it was carefully calculated. It was all about the money. A betrayal didn't come immediately. It came slowly, in little moments that made my stomach churn. Karen forgot to mention that she had taken over paying some of my bills, only to later suggest that I should give her a portion of the winnings for family expenses. Robert started hinting that perhaps I could help them with investments. My mother, who once barely called, suddenly had urgent questions about my spending. Every conversation revolved subtly around how I could help them, how they could benefit. It hit me one night when I overheard my mom and Corinne talking on the phone. My mom was laughing, something I hadn't heard in years. "I never thought Emily would actually win. This is perfect. We just have to keep her happy and she do exactly what we want," she said. My hands trembled as I hid behind the corner. Every word confirmed what I had suspected, the love, the care, the attention. It was all a performance. A trap to get me to share my money. I confronted them the next day, my voice shaking with anger. Why are you treating me differently? Why are you suddenly so caring? My mother smiled, the same smile she always had when she wanted something, and said, I just want what's best for you, sweetie. We love you. We're proud of you. But it didn't reach my ears as love. It was manipulation. It was greed dressed as affection. I realized that winning the lottery had not brought me happiness. It had exposed the people around me. The parents who had ignored me for years suddenly wanted me, but not for me. They wanted my money. The betrayal stung worse than any insult or neglect I had ever faced. The people who should have protected me, cherished me, loved me, were using me. I made a decision that night. I would not be their puppet. I would not hand over my hard-earned luck to people who had ignored me, dismissed me, and only now wanted me because of a number on a ticket. I started planning how to protect myself. I set up separate bank accounts, consulted lawyers, and made sure that my finances were completely independent. I knew that if I showed fear or hesitation, they would try to manipulate me further. I would not give them the satisfaction. The next time my mom called to check on me, I spoke firmly. Mom, I appreciate your concern, but I need to manage this on my own. I'll make my own decisions. There was a pause on the other side of the line. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head, trying to figure out how to keep me under control. Of course, dear Emily, she said, voice sweet, almost convincing. I just want to make sure you're safe. But I knew better now. I could see the betrayal for what it truly was. Karen tried again a few days later, suggesting we go shopping together. I just want to treat you, Emily, she said. I laughed softly, a bitter laugh. I'm old enough to treat myself, I replied. The sting of their betrayal had turned into quiet resolve. I would not let anyone exploit me. Not my mother, not my stepmother, not my stepfather. As weeks went by, I began to see them clearly, the real people behind the masks. The warmth, the affection, the care, it was all conditional, all tied to my money. They had ignored me for years, and now suddenly I was a golden ticket. I realized that this betrayal was not just about money. It was about recognition, attention, and validation that I had never received. And I didn't have to give them that satisfaction. I focused on myself, my goals, and my independence. I traveled, invested wisely, and surrounded myself with friends who truly cared for me, not my bank account. Every encounter with my step-parents reminded me of the strength I had found in their betrayal. They had tried to control me, to manipulate me, to bend me to their will, but I had risen above it. Betrayal is a hard teacher, and I had learned my lesson. Love and care cannot be faked for gain, and those who use others for selfish reasons will always reveal themselves eventually. Winning the lottery had given me money, yes, but it had also given me clarity. I saw the people around me for who they truly were. The parents who had ignored me, who had pretended to care only for their benefit, could no longer fool me. In the end, I didn't need their approval, their affection, or their validation. I had my life, my independence, and my strength. I had learned that betrayal does not always come from strangers. It often comes from those closest to you. And surviving it, rising above it, and protecting yourself is the sweetest victory of all. I still talk to my mother occasionally, but I no longer expect genuine love from her. She will always be my mother, but I will never be blind to manipulation again. I have built my life on my own terms. I am free, I am strong. And I will never allow betrayal, no matter how close the person, to steal my power again. And that's my story. Betrayal can cut the deepest when it comes from those we trust the most, but it can also teach us the greatest lessons. I learned that money doesn't change who people truly are, but it can reveal their intentions. I learned to trust my instincts, to value myself, and to never let anyone manipulate my life or my happiness. If you've ever felt betrayed, ignored, or used, remember, your worth isn't defined by those who fail to see it. Take your power back, protect yourself, and live life on your own terms. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this tale of betrayal and resilience, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new stories here on Reddit Sting Stories.